Hey, this is AMK. This is more of part 6 where we're looking at the investigator supplemental reports. This is going to be a longer one than the other ones, so I'm skipping the intro music and the intro clip to try to save space so I can easily export this to upload it to YouTube. Today we're going to look at Detective Turner and Detective Howard's reports. And we're going to start with Detective Turner. Now remember, Detective Turner was the one who contacted the family members. And he's also the one who spoke with David when David told him that he witnessed Nancy push and hit Chris and that Chris walked away. And Detective Turner is also the one who took the statements from Pam Clark and from Nancy's sister Sandra. And he also spoke to some other people, as we'll see as we get through here. And it was also Detective Turner who went back to the home with Detective Harris to retrieve the knife. So let's keep going with these investigator supplementals. All right. The first one we're going to look at, Detective Bo Turner, June 25th, 2007. I called the parents of Nancy Benoit at, and then phone number redacted. Her father, Paul Toffaloni, received the phone call. I advised him that Chris, Nancy, and Daniel Benoit had been found deceased. I also talked to the mother, Maureen, and advised her of the situation. The parents advised that the marriage had been troubled in the past, but they did not know of anything that would have caused this. And then, June 25th, 2007, more from Detective Bo Turner. I called the mother of Chris Benoit, Margaret, at number redacted, and advised her that Chris, Nancy, and Daniel Benoit had been found deceased. Margaret advised that she had received a call from Nancy at the end of March or the 1st of April. She said that Nancy had told her that she and Chris had been having trouble. She further advised that Nancy said, quote, "Chris is not doing the right thing on the road, and I am getting tired of it." End quote. Margaret said that Nancy made statements that she was going to deal with it in the near future. Margaret also said that Chris would have been coming to Canada to see her in July. She said that she was going to talk to Chris about Nancy's concerns when he arrived in July. Okay, now this next part, I considered not including this in my videos because I found this to be absolutely heartbreaking to read. However, the more I thought about it, I decided I need to include this. There's so much in here of statements from Nancy's family. There's really not very much from Chris Benoit's family. These are documents from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police that was sent to Detective Turner when Detective Turner contacted the Benoit family. Remember, they were living in Canada, and so after they were contacted, then this happened. And as part of the investigation, Detective Turner requested these records from the RCMP, which is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And as we scroll down here, he says, "Reports enclosed as per your request from attending officers. Please confirm receipt of reports. If you need any other assistance, please contact me at the above numbers. Thank you." And what this is apparently after the police in Fayetteville, Georgia, notified the Benoit family, it looks like some police assistance needed to occur at the home of the Benoit family in Canada. Date and time between 6:25:07 at, that would be 4:35 p.m. So what this is the list of the involved persons in this occurrence. It says involved persons, number 1, complainant DeMarco Carl. Who is Carl DeMarco? We'll find out. Let's go through here. Subject of complaint, Margaret Ellen Benoit. And then the subjects also involved deceased Christopher Benoit, Nancy Benoit, Daniel Benoit, next of kin, Martina Benoit, David Benoit, and Megan Benoit, who were Chris Benoit's ex-wife and his other 2 children from that marriage. So the RCMP were dispatched to the address redacted, the officers that were sent, and we have a summary here, so let's read through this. Summary: Assist Fire Hall. Very distraught female, 65 years old, just found out her son was killed in the States. More information obtained at a later time. Information obtained was that female is Margaret Benoit and son was Chris Benoit of WWE. Benoit, along with his wife Nancy and 7-year-old son Daniel, were deceased. Confirmation with Detective Turner of Atlanta Fayetteville Police was that it is an alleged murder-suicide. Carl DeMarco of WWE contacted Strathcona County RCMP, which is Royal Canadian Mounted Police, requesting to check on the welfare of Margaret. Now, when I first read that name, I assumed Carl DeMarco was a family member or close friend who called police to the home because they were concerned, or maybe someone from Fayetteville PD requesting them to notify the parents in person. But no, because we have Detective Turner's report saying he contacted them. WWE is sticking their nose in shit again. Is that weird? It seems weird. I get the welfare check call to police to go to the Benoit home in Georgia, but after that, was it really appropriate for them to get involved with the family in Canada? This just gets to be a real big mess. Just wait until you see this. I can't even imagine having to go through this. Constables Morris, Henry, and Olson attended the residence along with Patty Weir Brown of Victim Services. All spoke with Michael and Margaret Benoit and family. They were in shock and very upset. Members located Chris's ex-wife Martina and children David and Megan for next of kin notification. Martina was asked to attend police detachment. Notification was done here. Benoit family returned to residence of Michael and Margaret. Ellery Santa Rosa of Victim Services was still with them. And then I think that 26 means that on the next day, which would have been the 26th, and you'll see that as well as we go on. So on the 26th, Constable Morris spoke to Michael Benoit. Victim Services may still be required for David Benoit. Report faxed to Detective Turner as per request. And then remarks. And I think this is funny. It specifically says, except FBI. I don't know why I find that funny. It just seems like they're saying, yeah, we'll assist any U.S. police agency except that fucking FBI. Fuck them. But, yeah, I'll probably edit that out. So, under remarks, and it's a little note here saying the writer in this report is referred to as Constable Rob Morris. And the date 6/25/07, 16:36 hours, which is 4:36 p.m. Writer, who again, Constable Rob Morris, was dispatched to assist emergency medical services of a complaint of a distraught female. She was just informed that her son, who lives in the United States, had passed away. You see, this part really got to me emotionally. This just felt like really personal information and private. That's why, like I said earlier, I hesitated to share this. But I sort of feel like this speaks to Chris Benoit's personality overall as to how just absolutely shocked his family was to hear that this had happened. And I think that this really also illustrates that it's not like the family really had any warning signs that, that he was bound to snap. I mean, you never want to expect that something like this is going to happen, but sometimes you see little signs that in hindsight you can think, well, are we really all that surprised when it's all said and done? And I just feel like this needed to be included. So let me get through this. At 16:47 hours, which would be 4:47 p.m., the writer was en route to the dispatched address of redacted. The following information was confirmed. The son who had passed away was World Wrestling Entertainment star Chris Benoit, along with his wife Nancy and their 7-year-old son Daniel. Information was received of this by Detective Turner of Atlanta/Fayetteville Police and the president of World Wrestling Entertainment Canada, Carl DeMarco. Detective Turner had already notified Margaret of the incident. At 1652 hours, or 4:52 p.m., Ryder called Detective Turner to confirm details. Detective Turner had already spoken with Chris's mother, Margaret Benoit, and informed her of Chris's passing. The incident was being investigated as an alleged murder-suicide. Ryder then called DeMarco to confirm information on Benoit's family. DeMarco informed Ryder that Benoit had an ex-wife, Martina, who lived in the Edmonton, Alberta area, and two children, David, 14 years old, and Megan, 10 years old, who needed to be notified as to Benoit's death. An address for them was not confirmed. Wow, I wonder if that's because maybe Chris Benoit, for whatever reason, didn't want the WWE or anyone involved with that to know where his ex-wife and his other two children were living. Just a thought. DeMarco also advised that a family friend, Scott Zur, would be attending the Benoit residence. What? How does the WWE know this, and why does it seem like the WWE is giving instructions to the RCMP, and the RCMP is checking back with WWE? DeMarco wanted someone to check on the welfare of Margaret Benoit, as he was quite concerned about her well-being. Ryder then contacted the watch commander, Sergeant Marvin Toma, and updated him on current information. Toma advised Ryder to wait at current location for Constable Henry and Constable Olson, along with victim services personnel, before attending location. Then at 1714 hours, or at 5:14 p.m., Constables Henry and Olson arrived and were briefed by the writer. Victim services personnel Patty Weir Brown attended also, and all parties proceeded to Margaret Benoit's residence. This just gets to be a real big mess. Just wait until you see this. I can't even imagine having to go through this. Then at 5:33 p.m., all parties arrived at the Benoit residence, and Ryder met with Chris's father, Michael Benoit, and Zur. Ryder advised Benoit and Zur that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police were aware of the passing and were checking on their welfare. Also, the address of Chris's ex-wife Martina needed to be obtained for next of kin notification. Okay. Margaret Benoit provided Martina's current address of redacted. At this time, Chris's sister, Lori, attended the residence with 3 children. Victim services personnel Ellery Santa Rosa arrived at the Benoit residence. At 5:36 p.m., Constables Henry and Olson left the Benoit residence to locate Martina at her home address. Martina was not home, but her cell number of redacted was obtained. Constable Henry reached her and asked her to attend the Strathcona County RCMP detachment and would explain the circumstances once she arrived. I just find this all so confusing, and I just try to put myself in these people's shoes. Could you just imagine getting a phone call like this? They weren't even at home. The police called Martina Benoit's cell phone. So imagine you're out with the kids and you get a call like, come down here to the police department. We've got something to tell you. I mean, what the? Could you just imagine that? I find that very disturbing. The way this whole situation was handled in the United States and in Canada, very strange, because somebody from the WWE again, I mean, it says it right here. DeMarco, right here. DeMarco informed the writer that Benoit had an ex-wife, Martina, and 2 children who needed to be notified as to Benoit's death. Why is the WWE getting so involved here? When the police notified the parents of Chris Benoit, do you think maybe they could have told Martina, the ex-wife, instead of getting a message saying, hey, come on down here to the police station when you get this. We got something to talk about. And this is what I meant when I said this seems like this is just really personal, and I feel really bad right now because I'm cracking jokes, and I'm not joking at this situation, just the absurdity of it all. And I've been researching this for months, and honestly at this point, if I don't laugh, all I would do is cry because this just is so tragic. So then at 6:02 p.m., the writer left Benoit residence with Michael Benoit to attend RCMP detachment. So Constable Rob Morris and Chris Benoit's father leave the Benoit residence and go back to the police station. Then at 6:22 p.m., Ryder and Benoit arrive at the detachment, and Martina Benoit was already there with her 2 children. Constable Henry informed her of Chris's death. Just imagine this happening to you. Couldn't this have been done more compassionately? What a mess. And then at 7:21 p.m., Ryder was speaking in private with Michael Benoit. He informed Ryder that David had told him that he was recently talking with Chris. Chris said that he had been drinking a lot recently and was dealing with some issues. He did not disclose what the issues were. Michael did not know of any drug or alcohol use by Chris. Okay, so in the same paragraph, he says, Chris said that he had been drinking a lot recently. And then, like 2 sentences later, Michael did not know of any drug or alcohol use by Chris. Those are 2 very conflicting statements. Either you know he's been drinking a lot recently because he told you, and if he told you, then you know of alcohol use by Chris. I mean, that's just simple logic. So let's keep going. He did state that he received a call from Nancy about 6 months ago, and she sounded as though she was intoxicated by either drugs or alcohol. Michael was not aware of any current issues between Chris and Nancy. Okay, so we have the Benoit family saying that they spoke to Nancy and she sounded as though she were intoxicated. You also have David Benoit saying to police that he witnessed a fight between Chris and Nancy where Nancy had hit Chris and that Chris just walked away, didn't continue the argument. So you have conflicting stories here. You have Nancy's family saying, oh, Nancy said Chris was the bad guy. And you have the Benoit family telling you that as an eyewitness, the only time they ever saw a fight, it was Nancy who was aggressive to Chris. And you have them saying that it was Nancy who seemed as though she were intoxicated. Did you not think maybe you needed to look into this more? Because it seems to me that they seem to be taking Nancy's family's word for it. And I'm not saying that one family's word should be taken over the other. What I'm saying is this should have been an investigation. There should have been more. And the phone records, you only got the phone records and the text message records for the month of June. I think something was going on here a lot longer than just the month of June. What it is, I can't say. I don't know. But I get the feeling that somebody wanted to make damn sure that this was wrapped up tight as soon as possible and that nobody would look into this again. Personally, had I been investigating this, I would have wanted phone text records at least as far back as Eddie Guerrero's death, if possible, probably even farther back than that, because as I'm sitting here right now, damn, I would love to know what Eddie and Chris talked about in the months prior to Eddie's death. All right, and then at 10:24 p.m., the Benoit family left the detachment and went back to Michael and Margaret's residence. See, so when the police called and left the message for Martina Benoit, why didn't they just say, hey, come over to the Benoit family residence? It is in this report that they weren't home and police had to reach them via cell phone. So they were already out somewhere, I would imagine, maybe even already driving. Or maybe when the police were at the Benoit family residence, maybe they could have just asked if one of them could possibly call Martina and gently ask her to come over and say it's urgent. At 10:28 p.m., the writer spoke to DeMarco. Now here again, you have Constable Morris checking in with the WWE to update the situation as per his request. So guys at the WWE seem to really want to know step by step what's going on here. It goes on at 6/26/2007, the next day at 7:21 p.m. The writer spoke to Michael Benoit for follow-up from the previous evening. He stated that victim services may still be needed for David Benoit. This concludes my involvement, Constable Rob Morris. This just seriously breaks my heart. These children were 10 and 14 years old, and when you're a little boy, your dad is your hero, especially if your dad is a WWE champion. I can't even imagine how difficult this was, and I feel like this should have been handled more carefully, more professionally. It just breaks my heart. I don't have anything else to say about it. So now we have Constable Olson's supplementary report dated 6/26/2007. Writer and Constable Henry attended the residence of the deceased parents. While at location, Writer and Constable Henry received the address of the ex-wife Martina Benoit. Constable Henry came in contact with a friend of Ms. Benoit and instructed to attend the RCMP detachment in Sherwood Park. Again, it's completely different than what the other guy said. Constable Morris says Martina was not at home, but her cell phone number was obtained. Was it obtained from the friend? And then it says Constable Henry reached her and told her to, hey, come over, got something to tell you. And then here, Henry came in contact with a friend, so it sounds in here like Constable Henry told the friend to contact Ms. Benoit and instruct her to attend. I don't know. But eventually, Ms. Benoit and her 2 children attended the detachment and were informed of Chris Benoit's death. Victim services were present and assisted with the matter. This concludes his involvement, and then that's signed. And one more thing about this that I just feel is so tragic, that she brought the children with her to the police station. They will remember that for the rest of their lives. That is scarred into their DNA and will never go away. Why not just speak to the adults and allow the adults that the children are familiar with to tell them? Why make it so cold and intimidating for these children? For somebody who's young, when police are involved, it may consciously or subconsciously translate to them that a crime has taken place. And although I understand that a crime has taken place here, these are children, and that bothers me. And anybody watching or anyone who knows anyone who is convinced that Chris Benoit is a monster, when they post their shit on social media thinking they're cool and or funny, I wonder if those assholes ever stop to think that Benoit has 2 children that are still very much alive, and they have to live with this every day. And for these shit posters, it's a one and done, and they go on feeling good about themselves while the children are bearing the weight of the rocks they throw. And I guess if I could say anything to Chris Benoit's family, his ex-wife, and to David and Megan, there are people out here who still see your dad as a hero. I do not know what happened that day, that weekend, but I do know your dad loved you. Your dad loves you, and he never meant for you to get entangled in any of this. And I wish I could make this better for all of you. And then that's all that's here from Canada. Let's go on now and look through the rest of Detective Turner's reports before I start to cry. Okay, and the next supplement from Detective Turner, June 26, 2007. So Detective Turner receives a call from Dr. Phil Aston, who advised he was the personal doctor of Chris Benoit. Yes, well, if I'm not mistaken, he was also the personal doctor of Nancy Benoit. So Dr. Aston tells Detective Turner that Chris had been both a patient and a friend for about 10 years. He said that Chris had been in his office on Friday, June 22nd, 2007. He said that Chris had picked up a prescription for pain relief and had inquired about going on Zoloft for depression. He said that he had treated Chris in the past for depression, and Chris said he had been feeling depressed lately. Now, I'm going to break this down for you from a psychology perspective, since we already know what we know about Dr. Aston. So, we do know that it's true that Chris picked up a prescription for pain relief on Friday, June 22nd, because the crime scene units found that prescription in the home. Found lots of prescriptions for pain relief from Dr. Aston in the home, prescribed to both Chris and Nancy. What we don't have is any evidence other than Dr. Aston's word that he inquired about going on Zoloft for depression. We do, however, know that it's true that he had treated Chris in the past for depression because the crime scene units found prescription bottles prescribed to Chris Benoit for Zoloft. prescribed in 2006. But regardless, here, according to Dr. Aston, Chris said he had been feeling depressed lately. Well, again, we just have his word. Dr. Aston said that Chris also inquired about Nancy going through premenopause. He said that Chris complained about Nancy being so bitchy and moody lately. Okay. What I have to say about this is, I should probably preface this by saying I'm clearly a girl, but I'm not that girl, okay? What it reminds me of is how when somebody has committed a crime, oftentimes they will call up the police and offer to be helpful, and they try to get involved in the investigation. This reminds me a lot of that type of situation. It sounds like he's trying to get ahead of it. He's like, yeah, he was in here and he picked up some pain medicine. He said he was feeling depressed and he was also complaining about Nancy being bitchy and moody. Okay, but we only have Dr. Aston's word for that. And we already know Dr. Aston was indicted for overprescribing these medications. And for Chris Benoit's death and for Nancy's death. And for Mike Durham, Johnny Grunge's death, he was charged and spent 10 years in jail. And I went over that in part 5B, if you want to check that out. But saying that Nancy was going through premenopause, whatever. This just sounds to me like this guy's just a dick. And he's trying to create a motive by trying to make it look like there might have been an altercation because he was depressed and she was moody. Anything other than maybe they were fighting over prescribed medication. I don't know. Who knows? But then it says, please see statement from Dr. Phil Aston. And usually when it says, please see supplemental statements, they're in here. I looked through this entire report. I can't find a statement from Dr. Phil Aston other than these paragraphs here. And further down there is, well, hold on, I'll go there now and show you because there's really nothing to it. I'll add that in here real quick. Okay, so we have another fax transmission, like from the RCMP that we just looked at. This says that it's from Dr. Phil Aston to Detective Bo Turner, and that it's about patient Chris Benoit. We have his fancy little stationery dated June 26th, 2007, to whom it may concern. And then a big fat nothing followed up with a, I hope this helps in the investigation of this tragic incident involving a great athlete and person. You can see over here there's a little something there. So I don't know if this was redacted out somehow. I really am not sure what this was. I would really like to know though. And then we have another page that just says the same thing. As you can see here, nothing. And then also, this is gone over here. And that's it. There's no statement in here from Dr. Aston other than this right here. I would really be interested in knowing what Dr. Aston had to say to the police before he was raided. Remember, he was raided on June 28th. So I would be really interested to know what he said. Wouldn't you? But that's that. Let's keep going with Detective Turner's pages. Okay, in the next part of Detective Turner's supplement, June 28th, 2007, I received a call from Raymond Raleigh, who advised he had seen Chris Benoit on Friday, June 22nd, 2007. And that would have been the day that they allege he murdered Nancy. Raymond Raleigh advised that he had met Chris at exit 61 off I-85 in Noonan at 1:45 p.m. The purpose of the meeting was for Raymond to give Chris some tights that he had made for Chris and another wrestler. He advised that Chris did not appear any different than any other time he had met him. Chris gave him a check for $650 and the two parted ways. So at this point, I don't believe that Nancy Benoit was deceased. Was she later on in the day on Friday, June 22nd? I'm not sure. But by this point, I don't believe she was. And what else does Detective Turner say? On June 27th, 2007, I talked to Martini Benoit. These jackasses. You can't even get her name right? I seriously hope that when he spoke with her, that he did not call her Martini. I talked to Martina Benoit, who is the ex-wife and mother of two of Chris's children. Martina advised that she and Chris had been divorced for about 10 years and they still talked because they have 2 children together. Martina said that the children are David, 14, and oh my gosh, does she pronounce her name Megan? And I've been saying Megan? I have actually heard it pronounced Megan before. If so, then I'm sorry. In this case, I can't tell if Detective Turner is the moron or if I am. So, the children were David, 14, and Megan was 10. That's very young. All 3 now live in Alberta, Canada, and the children come to the Benoit home during spring break and summer. Martina said that when the children come home, they always talk about the arguments between Nancy and Chris. I talked to David, who advised that he came to Georgia to see his dad in March and had stayed for about 1 week. He said that Chris and Nancy had fought several times during the week, and it had become physical on at least one occasion. He said that he saw Nancy push and hit Chris. He said that Chris walked away and did not hit Nancy back. He said that Chris and he then left the house to go eat. He also advised that when the 2 fought, he would take Daniel upstairs so he did not see it. Now that's a good big brother. Well done, David. Well done. And then I think the last one that we're going to look at today is Detective M. Howard's summary. Detective Turner is also sort of mentioned in this one, so we're going to get through this one now. On 6/25/07, around 13:48 hours, which is 1:48 p.m., deputies from the Fayette County Sheriff's Office responded to, you know the address, in reference to a welfare check. Upon entry to the residence, the deputies found 3 bodies deceased inside the house. The Criminal Investigation Division was notified. I responded to the residence around 15:15 hours or 3:15 p.m. to assist in the investigation. I assisted in securing the crime scene while a search warrant was being obtained by Detective Harper. After the search warrant was obtained, I helped search the residence for evidence. I located a box of human growth hormone in a small refrigerator in the room over the garage, which was the room that Nancy was found in. The human growth hormone was turned over to the crime scene unit and logged into evidence. I assisted in searching the master bedroom where miscellaneous prescription drugs were located in the closet. The prescription drugs were collected and turned over to the crime scene where they were logged into evidence. I logged all the incoming calls from the caller ID starting on 6/18/07 at 12:44 a.m. till 6/25/07 at 6:35 p.m. Family members were located by the incoming calls, and Detective Turner notified the families of the deaths. Now, I have an interesting thought here. Did he log the incoming calls starting on that date because that is as far back as the caller ID would go? It's a question worth asking. On 6/26/07, I recorded all the messages from the answering machine located in the kitchen at 130 Green Meadow Lane. The phone and the answering machine were taken into evidence and turned over to crime scene. Okay, so I'm gonna end it there today. We still have to get through Detective Hergesel, Detective Fenimore, and Detective Shelton. And Detective Shelton's report is very detailed. There's a lot to it. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get that one out before Christmas, but I'll be working on it for sure. I am going to need a break from this because recording every day, my voice is busted pretty bad. Oh, I do want to say too, I am reading all of your comments. I've been really working on these videos, so I haven't had much of an opportunity to really sit down and write out replies, but I am reading them. Thank you very much. Keep them coming, and I will work on responding more over the holidays. And if you would like to contribute to my channel, there's a link to my Cash App in the description box below. And right underneath, you'll also find a link to a short and simple YouTube video explaining how to donate. But that's it for now. And I gotta get started editing this and start recording the next one. So thank you for watching. Please give me a like, thumbs up, subscribe, share, all of that fun stuff. But definitely Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Anyone watching, no matter your faith, I wish you the best for the holiday season and for all the years beyond. I'll catch you next time. This has been AmK. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!